That's why I mentioned the two other entities. Dr. Black, what do you think about the formula that Brother Omar Baruti just put forward? More specifically, the political process in relative to this last mayoral.
Well, I think, if I remember correctly, Teddy Withers and some of the other folks that were around in the politics of that time called the People's Convention.
Yes.
If I remember correctly. But I think that Teddy and some others took a platform that had developed in Chicago, Illinois, that had elected Mayor Washington in Chicago.
Harold Washington.
And they were going to implement this plan in order to change some of the politics that people had been faced with in this area. And that was a good thought. Me personally, I don't know if they went far enough as far as really thinking about it. I have a problem, myself personally, with electing a so-called black person to the office of mayor of a city. But the reason I have a problem is because I think, wasn't his Hatchet, what's his name?
Hackett.
Hackett? It was no Hackett, who he ran against. I'm talking about Gary, Indiana.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about the brother that ran.
Hatchard.
And then not long after, another brother Stokes ran in Cleveland, Ohio. And then Coleman ran in Detroit. And then I think we can go on and on and on. We got a brother in New Jersey. We got a brother in LA, Tom Bradley ran. Every single time brother comes to office, all of a sudden industry runs. This is what they did in Gary. U.S. Steel, the large company in the United States of America, pulls up and splits, takes the tax base with it. So now understand, there's more to politics than just us having office because we care about each other relative to our complexions. There's some other strategies that have to go into our thinking about this. Right now, we're talking about the mayoral race. My problem in Memphis, you just gave up your school system in Memphis, Tennessee. Now understand something, you fought hard to control the right to educate your own children for a long time. And now you turn around and give it back to the people that you say are your enemies. Now understand, I'm not thinking about anything lightly. I'm suggesting that it's going to take people like all of you who are sitting around this. Me, I'm too old to do this anymore. But it's going to take folks like you who are actually willing to put some time in to sit around and come up with a real plan. When I say changing formulas, now I'm very serious about that. In other words, just like when I was talking about the alphabet, you know that the alphabet you write with comes out of Africa, right? Like those clothes you got on, the alphabet that you write with, A, B, A, B, C, D, A, A, B, C, D, E, it actually originates in Africa. You understand that, right?
What doesn't originate in Africa?
It doesn't?
I said, what doesn't originate in Africa?
But now the reason I'm saying that is because our children going to the schools, they don't know that it originates in Africa. And I think that it would give them a much better feeling about themselves if they knew that rather than them thinking that their ancestors were slaves. So I am suggesting that it was people who are thinking that their ancestors were slaves that just gave this election away in the way that they gave it away just a minute ago. Now, the minute we stop doing that by going back and examining the source, changing our way of thinking, not by talking about it, we actually have to do some work to change the way that we have been thinking. And once we can start changing, now we can start listening to people like this gentleman here who's saying we have to examine how Harold got elected. And I think, I'm talking about in Chicago now, I think those were some kids over there on 39th Street who called themselves El-Rukin, who had originally been Blackstone Rangers. They're the ones that got Harold Washington elected. And they, along with some other brothers like yourselves, actually sat down at a table and figured out a strategy to plan the politics in Chicago in such a way so that could happen. Then people here, Ms. Cooper and others, helped to emulate that strategy, and he performed it here. Now, what we didn't do is we didn't stick with each other long enough to actually start understanding that we've got to erase some particular thoughts. In other words, we just went on like business as usual. After the election was over with and you elected your brother, your cousin, or your person that you felt was relative to you, everything just went back to what you were doing yesterday. We didn't keep doing what we needed to do with the school system. We didn't change the fact that when the children sit down, they learn Aleph, Beth, Gimel, I'm saying in Hebrew. We didn't learn, Alpha, Beta, Gamma in Greek. The children didn't. So now you're graduating children from school who can't read well enough to get jobs. Well, also, they can't read well enough to read the ballot that you just put out there.
Yes.
I want to go to Talut now. Talut, we're hearing words like apathy, insanity. And I hear Dr. Black saying that as a group of people, we've not thought deep enough, used enough insight to look far enough into the future to be successful. What is your interpretation, again, of this latest election? If African Americans, if we elect someone we like and we love, my brother, my sister, my wife, or whatever, and they're riding down the highway with $100,000 in the trunk unaccounted for, how do we hold our own selves accountable?
Well, first, let me say this.
Go ahead.
We have a comprehensive plan.
Is this the CC?
Yes.
Okay.
In the 9th Congressional Committee of Tennessee. It's a 44-page plan. Okay, you can read this plan at facebook.com/9th with the numeral 9, THCCT. That's a master plan. Okay. We're implementing this plan even as we speak. It's gradual, it's slow, but we're achieving our goals in our timeline. Back to the Memphis politics. Black leadership failed us across the board. Okay, as far as the school systems are concerned, as far as the politics are concerned. We have in our presence right now in Memphis the worst black leadership in the history of the United States of America. Why? Because all our games under their watch, we've lost. That's the test. That's the litmus test. Okay, leadership is the litmus test. These people stood up in front of us, gave us their word, we voted for them, we put them in office, and they happen to be black people. They failed us across the board. They've led us the wrong way. They've done things that cause our children to see them as thieves and liars and beggars. We have to change. We can't accept that anymore. We have to go back to the grassroots, come back up with a new leadership, and this time we have to supervise the leadership. And we have to have ways that we can punish them and reward them. And without a way to punish, they just keep doing because we don't have a way to stop them. So we have to devise ways to punish and reward our political leaders. But as of today, these people have failed us across the board. Every one of them, including Harrington, including Warren, Deidre, you name them, they all have caused us to lose our games on all of their watches, and this includes the state legislators too. They have voices. We gave them voices. They should have came out and told us what to do. They were silent through the whole election process, not only in the city of Memphis, but also in the county election. They were silent. They allowed our vote to be disenfranchised. They allowed us to surrender all of our gains in our political arenas, our school system. They have watched us become annihilated by people who don't have our best interest at heart.
Okay, Malik, I
Um,
want to go to you because his son, is that, you just mentioned a mouthful. No, I'll say a truckload. Is part of that called being accountable or checks and balances? Part of that what?
it definitely is. I'm gonna agree with him. You know, to the extent that yes, the black leaders have failed us. They've been failing us. From my understanding, since the civil rights movement, our black leaders been failing us. Whenever we lost the system, and I'm gonna go back to the formula. The formula is not broke. It's been put in place exactly how the Caucasian people placed it. We just want to be so a part of the system. We got a certain name that we call that a graham cracker. It sit right on the shelf in Kroger's next to the cracker. So, you know, when you want to be near and dear to your master, you'll go out and you'll do things like these so-called leaders who y'all talking about. They won't step up and fight in our best interest. Prior to the civil rights movement, black people had communities. They was owning things. Black Wall Street. We knew when the enemy crossed that line who he was because he wasn't looking like us. He was looking like exactly what he is, the enemy. So my solution to the problem definitely would be, let's get some land. Let's come together and start back our own communities. Let's build the black nation up. But we can't do this on foreign land, and essentially that's what we own. And we in foreign territory. We can't win like that.
All right, we've got a caller on the line. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, what's going on, brother?
Oh, fantastic, brother Akil.
Yeah, this brother Akil. I'm enjoying the show, man. Nice show you got going on. Dr. Black dropping that knowledge on me. I like it. Listen, I think one thing that we need to address, and I think I heard a little bit from Jeffrey right there at the end, is that we need to separate ourselves from this system. We're trying to put black politicians into a white system, and it just will not work. So we have to come up with a new system. What do you brothers think is a way to address that issue of coming up with a new system that's detached from this white supremacist system that we keep trying to, put ourselves into, and it doesn't work out for us?
Okay, I think that's a great question. Thank you for your call. Dr. Black is putting forth a formula. It's your turn next, Jeffrey, but here's my question to Dr. Black and all of you. I agree that the children, first and foremost, should be important. Yes. And perhaps that can be problematic if you're saying your formula is to go back to the children, teach the alphabet. What about the time factor? Is there, like I asked Omar, is there a formula that will present a solution immediately? Is anything wrong with me saying immediately?
Hold on, man.
Do we have another
Yes,
call?
yes.
Is there a formula? You want to take this call, Jeffrey?
Go ahead.
Well,
Come on, caller.
what I'm saying, sir, they're a bunch of crooks, thieves, and liars. That's why they can't help us. That's why they won't do what's right.
Well,
We're the answer to the Lord, so I'm not worried about turning over the hands of the Lord. He knows what to do with it better than we can.
okay. She said get rid of them by the weekend.
What was that comment?
Hey, she got a plan to do that. I want to hear it.
But listen, what I hear from her comes across to me as a bit like a state of apathy. I give up. And that's what I see across the board when it comes to talking about people relative to us. Dr. Black, I want to go to you, Jeffrey. Address that question. It's somewhat of a compounded question, but you're good at math. Go ahead.
All right. What I wanted to add on there, yes, I believe this, once we have...
We've got 10 minutes.
Once we have a mass amount of people, it may not be a majority mass, but as long as we have a mass amount of people that are on the same frequency of thought, it's not going to take that long. Because we know if we go straight to the youth, it's only going to take one generation. If we can affect our youth on a mass level, by the time they get grown, they're already going to have the paradigm to work with. So what I wanted to bring up here, and this is just following what Dr. Black was saying earlier about asking questions. I wanted to add, back when I started my studies after high school, I was introduced to the field of sociology. Sociology is what helped me to think, learn how to think and ask questions. And it's not ironic that we have scholars by the name of Dr. Huey P. Newton, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and also Dr. Maulana Karenga.
Mm-hmm.
All of these three people have affected us, our people, people in America of African descent, very greatly. One thing that all three of these people have in common, and not only these three, also W.E.B. Du Bois, all of these people studied sociology. Now, when I entered that field, I got questions from other people like, well, what are you going to do with that? You know, what are you going to do with that nature? Well, you see, these people are focused in on the foundations of what build our society. We call it social construction. Social construction is a group of people who have an agreement on what definitions are. Definitions. Like, who told you that this notebook was black? It was because a group of people came together and agreed on that definition of what the color black was. You see, once we get to a point where we have a mass amount of people on the same frequency, we have to deconstruct the society that we're currently in so we can construct something better.
Okay, thank you, Jeffrey. We've got another call on the line, but when you say deconstruct, it makes me think about something that Omar talks about all the time on the show. That is debriefing. Did you want to make one more comment? We've got a call on the line. We've got 70 minutes. Go ahead. Let's move with quickness.
Just real quick. Maybe the reasons why our leaders and politicians who are supposed to have our interests are coming short is because they're still working with European value sets.
Okay.
And so let me just give you a few ideas, an example of what I mean.
Okay.
I'm gonna mention the European value set, and then I'm gonna mention the African value set. And they're opposites. Europeans tend to value individuality, while the African mind tends to value the group. European mindset tends to value destruction, while the African mind tends to value construction. The European mind tends to value separation and division, while the African mind tends to value unity. And the list goes on and on. Those are just a few examples.
Right now, we don't have time to examine that now, but when we come back, we're going because leadership became very important to me in today's discussion, but we want to ask you to provide us with your source of examination on that. Caller!
Good afternoon, brother. This is Brother Fauci, and I just wanted to announce very quickly, in keeping with what you're talking about when we go here, I want to announce Brother Wallace that the Zanco product, community manufacturing and distribution company, will be advertising on your program. And I'm delighted to say that today. And at this point, we have returned to self-development in our community, and we have 45 years of experience.
45 years.
So we will be in touch with this issue
Okay.
on how our community, our company is structured.
Okay.
A cooperative venture, how people can work, be a part of ownership and where they work. And so we're looking for an African-American attorney. Anybody who knows one, Brother Baruti, please call this telephone number, 901-484-2116.
Okay.
We're also hiring. We're looking for people who want to work with the hands of production. Also, people who are internet savvy, and we're building our internet site, which will tell the Zanco story.
All right, Kazi, we have only 5 minutes left.
Talking about.
Kazi,
Well,
I want.
that's pretty good, brother.
Thank you. Well, I want you to close this out, but I want to go to Omar right now, then I'm go to you, and we will go to you last, Dr. Black, and let you, you're a special guest today, so we'll let you open and close for us today. How about that? You have the keys to the door. Omar, and you have, do not forget, November the 14th, Shahrazad Ali will be at the MLK Center talking about relationships. Is that right, Omar?
Yes, yes.
Doors open at 4. The event begins at 4:30. November 14th, Saturday, Shahrazad Ali will be at the MLK Center. And Omar, I think she's gonna be on the phone with us sometime soon.
We're trying to get that to make that happen now.
Okay, good. Okay, so as soon as we get on the phone, we'd love to make that happen. We have 4 minutes. Omar,
Yeah.
take
Let me share
a
this.
minute
with
or two.
I went to the NAACP awards banquet last night in West Memphis, Arkansas. And at the awards banquet, I got a chance to meet again with Brother John Crawford, whose son was murdered in the Walmart store. And he's going to the United Nations on November the 4th to speak to the United Nations about the brutal assassination of black men in America by the police department. And he has asked if he can come into the show or either call into the show after he comes back from the United Nations, give us an update on the situation with his case with his son who was murdered by those officers in the Walmart store, but also what he did at the United Nations.
Okay.
So I told him that when he comes back, let's make contact and we'll try to get him on the show.
Okay. And real quick, we've got 3 minutes. We're gonna let Dr. Black close us out. And Kaiser just said something about what we've been talking about: solution as in self-determination, manufacturing, and is that a formula, Omar?
That's the only form I know is
Okay.
Coming together in unity.
Unity,
and then guiding our own self through this world. That's what we did before the white man got here.
and he said 45 years of experience. Dr. Black,
All right.
we have 2 minutes.
All right, well, I'm going to try to do this in a hurry.
Yeah.
The young man said something about social constructs and sociology. Sociology? If I'm not mistaken, I think that was a science, the modern science anyway, was created at Atlanta University by W.B. Du Bois, the guy you call Du Bois, all right? And I think that we need to truly, as a group of people, study what Mr. Du Bois was talking about and trying to get us all to experience, as far as a thought. Then you said something about empathy, sympathy, or hyper-empathy, which I don't know what you were talking about, but apathy is something. But
I said apathy. That was the word.
I think that a lot of us might suffer from hyper-empathy, having to do with apathy. Now what you have to understand is with hyper-empathy, you're dealing with hypersensitivity. And so what happens is a lot of us have a problem of getting sick, and we don't know why we're getting sick, but we're getting sick because of somebody else's illnesses. Now, I'm saying this to say that a lot of what you just experienced in the politics of Memphis deals with someone else's illness. And we have an ignorance factor that is set in, and it's not because people have chosen necessarily to be ignorant, but you've allowed yourselves to be educated into an area of ignorance. Anyway, I don't want to. I know you don't have but a minute, so we'll
Right.
do
Well,
just another case.
well, I must say that your program involves a little bit more time, and you know we've had special panel discussions around the city, library, Java complex, so we will invite you to discuss with us more about the alphabet and young people, and I'm going to be challenging you on that because I'm not up in age, but I want to move quickly, swiftly, okay? So, but you're right. It's all in one's perception and all in the way one perceives oneself. So if you say, boss, you sick? I'm sick too, boss. Well, I don't care if you're sick, boss. I'm not sick.
Well, that statement that you just made, and I think the young people over here said something earlier also about the fact that we've accepted a reality that was created by someone else. Now, I'm not going to get into this whole white people, Caucasian thing, because to me, I think I heard you say so-called black people. Around Memphis, Tennessee, I am the first person that anybody ever heard talk about so-called blacks and so-called whites. Now, I agree, those are terms that were just made up. We need to release all of that nonsense. This whole thing about Caucasian and Caucasoid, it's nonsense. It's just idiocy. But because it is so far down in our psyches and we won't get it out, that's why it continues to haunt us and be a reality. As soon as we can get to the minds of our young ourselves, without the state controlling the textbook, you allow the state of Tennessee to control education in your neighborhood, you always going to have a problem when it comes to anything that would be good about you. So, I'm sorry, I'm not...
Yeah, well, we've come to... No, but I give you my word.
Okay.
We will continue.
All right.
But we've come to the end of another great show. And please call back. All of the regular panelists, please show up again next Sunday. And we will... Oh, by the way, next Sunday, we're going to be talking about leadership. Is that okay? That's something that we've talked about quite often on this.
Love